Hey guys, what is happening? Welcome to another Look Ahead Line Show. I am Slippin Jimmy, also on Twitter at That's the Bet, or you can just call me CJ. Go by any one of those monikers. Welcome to the show. Here's what we typically do every Sunday. We go through each of the look ahead lines for week 5 or the upcoming week. And then we're just going to kind of go through and figure out where can we find some good CLV, where can we find some good bets to make, and start to just get you looking ahead and thinking ahead for what would be the games that we would want to target for week 5. So quickly, just to recap on what we were looking at for week 4, we talked a little bit about how there were some injuries in that Eagles game, and we did see some serious unders. Or we looked at the under. I think they opened at like 44.5. That did take some under money. Obviously, the result was not great in terms of an under, but did at least kind of see where that line movement was going to go. The Steelers, we predicted a little bit more of an under there. That ended up, also weirdly, that game went way over and ended up in the, I think, 40.5 or 41 range. Had a few others last week. I know those were kind of the top two that came to mind. I know the Packers game as well, we had highlighted at -2.5. It did close. If you wanted to get that Packer money early, you obviously lost. But the whole point of the show is not necessarily to tell you if you particularly like a side and you should go bet that side. I'm going to give you some of my opinions here, but it's more so like, where am I going to get the best number and where do we think that line is going to end up ultimately moving? So without further ado, why don't we get started here? So I'm going to share my screen. And the way this, again, kind of works is we'll go through, probably 4 to 5 key games that I think we are going to see some action or definitely some movement from the opener, and where we can hopefully find you guys some value and make some good bets. And we'll recommend here a couple that you probably should track down as you start going into week 5. So fun one here on Thursday. I do like to highlight the Thursday night game just because it's a standalone. It's an island game, tends to get more money. And obviously more eyeballs that come through. So Tampa is, it looks like they are getting 2.5. Atlanta here is laying the points. Nothing here on the outlier. You can see on outlier that's showing anything plus EV. I think probably the 42.5 sounds about right. If we look at what did Atlanta score today? Atlanta was okay. That was actually well over that 42.5 line that happened today. Their offense actually moved the ball quite a bit against New Orleans. I was somewhat surprised by that. I actually think Atlanta's offense is definitely a little bit friskier or better than at least I had personally thought. Interesting. I actually do feel like that total seems, now that I'm looking at it, maybe a little bit low. And yeah, I would say I am correct in that thinking, as Pinnacle has this at 43, -107 on both sides. So it's still a little bit, I guess, call this maybe like, 42.9, but a little bit of a closer number to that 43. I was thinking this would be more like 43.5 or 44. Yep, and bookmaker 43.5 right there. So I'll tell you this: 43.5 on Bet Online. If you are looking for some quick value right away, Tampa today, even with it, surprisingly, I know this was kind of like the Eagles were playing in garbage time mode. I guess they only scored 16 points, but for some reason I thought it was more than that. But Tampa's offense it's kind of been very up and down. The Lions game, they were not great. They still ended up winning that game. They obviously looked bad against Denver. I don't see how Atlanta necessarily is. How are we looking at their defense? So if we're looking at the total, so we're looking at Atlanta gave up 24, 22, 21, and then 18, which was also week 1 against, I think, a Steelers offense that had one not a great offense, but also still hadn't really gelled. So Yeah, I would say right off the bat, to me, I think the spread here probably seems right. I think if this gets to Atlanta 3, you're going to see obviously some pushback from that key number. But we'll add this to the slip to start. I would say that 42.5 definitely could be some cases to be made to the over there. I didn't see any big injuries per se from the Atlanta side or from the Tampa side. I know that actually Vita Vea even played today. Don't know what the status is of Antoine Winfield for next week. He matters somewhat. I mean, he's obviously a key part of their safety in their back. But then I'm looking here at Atlanta. Yeah, they're relatively healthy. So, yeah, I would say we probably will see this take a little bit of money and going towards the over there for that Thursday night game. So if you're looking to get one for Thursday night, probably would lean more towards the over. We've also got another standalone game next week that is going to be, we're headed to London finally. I love the London games. I mean, you literally get football from Eastern, 9 in the morning to basically 11:30 Eastern at night. It's fantastic. I would say here, if we're looking, let's see. So 2.5. Boy, this is interesting. Jets, pretty bad loss today. I had predicted, I talked to a few people, I thought that this was a classic sandwich game where they had looked great against New England on the Thursday night game. And then they had to play the Broncos, and it's just terrible weather here in the Meadowlands in Jersey today. And then they go to London and they play a 4-0 Vikings team. I think this is probably, if I'm thinking on Pinnacle, it's probably going to be 2.5 across the board. Yeah, I'm seeing 2.5 on Pinnacle as well, 2.5 on Bookmaker, and I'm going to just bet all odds 2.5. Yeah. Interesting that 2.5 though shaded heavily juiced towards the 3. So, the market, the way it's worked this year, especially so far early, there has been quite a lot of resistance once it gets to 3, and once it gets to 7. I think of the Texans game, for example, this last week, that ended up, I think, closing at either 6 or 5.5. So Minnesota, if you want to get the flat 3, I think at minus 125, personally, I mean, I wouldn't be paying that. But if you're getting a minus 110 like you are on Bet365, I'm not going to give this one out. I think that this is maybe closes 3, but I don't see the Jets taking a ton of money and moving this much more. So with Minnesota, you probably can wait. You also might get a cheap 3, like a even money at some point. So probably not a lot to do here. The Jets side, also, I would say it's a wait. If you like the Jets, you're going to want that 3. If you, so I would say you're probably going to want to wait there. Also, the money line, I would also wait. The Vikings themselves, if we look at their injury reports, Hawkinson, he is going to, by the way, be back soon. I had read something. If I could pull up my notes here. What was the Twitter account I was on earlier that was showing that? I'd have to go back and look, but Hawkinson should be actually playing pretty soon in the next couple of weeks, so he will matter. But I mean, this Vikings team is honestly just cooking right now. They looked great against Green Bay. I know that Green Bay made a run there, but I think Vikings were mostly playing prevent, and Love get a little bit healthier in the second half, or at least get a little bit more comfortable. I wouldn't look too much into the Vikings kind of blowing that lead. When you're up 4 touchdowns, it is hard to kind of keep your foot on the gas still there. Jets also do have some injuries. CJ Mosley, I know he did not play. He had a right toe. Let's see what we have here. Returning to action sooner than later. Mosley definitely somewhat matters. I would say the other big thing. So this is the other thing with this game. So Rodgers actually did get hit on his left leg and was kind of gimpy towards the end of this game. My guess is he still plays, but if you've got Rodgers is coming off, obviously off a torn Achilles. he's already, if he's playing a little bit, even just maybe 80%, he's also going to probably be a little bit more conservative in terms of moving around in the pocket, trying to take hits. So against the Vikings' very heavy blitz defense, I can see that being a problem for him. So for me, nothing to do here. But again, I would say you would probably want to wait if you're going to get either side even on this, because I think a cheap 3 is fine personally for the Vikings. Dolphins and Patriots. Not going to go into this one. Got to see what Huntley looks like. There's a chance, apparently. I guess I don't think this could actually happen, but they had said there were some rumors that were saying like some way that Tua was going to play sooner than later. They put him on IR, so he's out for, I believe, 4 games at least. So nothing to do here. Got to obviously wait and see what happens on Monday if there's any significant injuries. Baltimore and Cincy. Boy, this one, again, we can't really do anything because of what's going on with the Sunday night game. I will say I was hoping for a lower total so we could go for the over 48.5. I don't know if this line is even listed here. It's not. Oh, man, that total would be tempting. Bengals defense is very, very bad. I don't think the Ravens defense is necessarily great either. So that one would monitor that, but I'm not going to do anything with that here. We go to the Browns and Commanders. Interestingly enough, you've got now we're starting to get the Commanders as I don't know. I would love to know what the look ahead was for this. So I would definitely say that Cleveland, despite everything that has been going on with them, they did kind of get, I think, a little bit hosed. We got Vital Capper on. Welcome, sir. Glad to have you with us here on this Sunday evening. We've got Cleveland at +3.5. So again, one of these things with this line where I just don't see, I don't see this, like Washington is not going to get to me. They're not going to go to 4.5. I know Washington's looks great. I think we got to get a downgrade a little bit Arizona personally, and I would also say that early ED played well. It's great. I had a great day also today. This was honestly by far my best week personally of the season. Did really well with the Jags earlier. Also had trying to remember the couple of totals that I did well on today. I know the Jags was one of the big ones that came through. Oh, Bengals -4.5 also was a good one too for me. Yeah, I would say I would agree on what Vital is saying here. You're getting a little bit of a discount, and to me, I think you're definitely going to see Cleveland take some more money there. Look, it's -111. I mean, that's not really a huge signal on Pinnacle, but let's go to Bookmaker. +3.5 on Bookmaker. Remember, we're not seeing on here that price yet. I am seeing slightly, yeah. So, okay, my theory was correct there. I do think that you're going to see Cleveland definitely take some more money on this. I think that's a good bet, by the way. Again, NFL, it's a very week-to-week type of league. You could argue the Browns are actually now in a true kitchen sink situation right here, at being at 1-3, going to 1-4 would be pretty disastrous for them. So I think 1-3, and also just, again, we're buying low on the Browns and we're selling very high on the Commanders. So I think that is one I will probably, might bet that later. Getting that hook there at 3.5. Buffalo and Houston, man, another great game. Well, I mean, not the Browns and the Commanders. I was referring more to that Bengals and Ravens game up top. But Bills and Texans, great game. Should be a lot of fun. Texans came through today. Again, going to avoid this until we see what happens with the Sunday night game. But I would say that total seems a little high. That would be the only thing I would say right off the bat is 46.5. Houston has struggled a little bit on offense. We've seen the Bills defense play pretty well. I would say that 46.5 would be interested in looking at that. Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. What we got here, Vito? Does Buffalo shut down the passing attack? I mean, absolutely think it's possible. I mean, look, the thing that Buffalo has been good at so far this year has been, and even missing Teron Johnson in their secondary, their coverage has been great. Christian Benford has been one of the best corners in the league, graded by PFF so far this season. Their secondary is actually one of their strengths. Also, they have a pretty good pass rush. Laramie Tunsil left the game today. Don't know what's happening with him. I think he did return, but I actually think from a passing side, this matches up pretty well. The Bills' problem is they've had trouble stopping the run. I believe even right now they're getting run over quite a bit by Derrick Henry and co. in Baltimore. So the one thing I would watch there is if you're interested in buying Texans, see what happens with Mixon. I don't think you're going to get. I don't think you, by the way, are going to get Houston +3. I would be shocked if we get to there, but situational at times. I mean, I guess it's one of those things you can make the case that the first 3 matchups were not necessarily the hardest for them. Although I still think Arizona's offense is at least middle to above average in the league. You still have 2 great receivers in Miami that they had to go up against, and Jacksonville was able to move the ball today against Houston. So, I would the spine or the middle of the Buffalo's defense is what ultimately is where you want to attack them, especially missing Milano in there, who's such a key piece. So that would be that's always kind of my take with the Bills is like, if you have a team, I like the Ravens, for example, today, because you have a team that can be able to run and be able to worry in the middle. Yeah, Houston D, I agreed. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I do think some of the stuff Buffalo's done on offense has also been just a product of like Miami, Arizona, and Jacksonville's defenses have all stunk. I think that to me is less Buffalo's offense and more so some of the quality of competition. Houston will be at least a little bit of a step up for them. So, boy, I talked a lot more about this game than I thought. But yes, I would say for you, Vital Capper, that would be, again, we're gonna have to see what happens in the Sunday night game. But to me, I would still lean more towards that under is where I'd be looking at. Colts and Jaguars, 45.5. So I'm staying away from this one personally. I would just say that Richardson does sound like he will play. Apparently, he could have come back in the game today. I don't know. I mean, Flacco actually looked okay coming in. I think Steichen was able to definitely scheme some stuff for him when he first came in. I mean, Flacco's looked fine in relief. Obviously, with the Browns last year, he looked good. So I'm going to stay away from this one. It does look like we're getting a plus EV marker, though. So let's just quickly check that out. And we are seeing, all right, so definitely heavily shaded here to the over. I would also agree with that at 45.5. We look at the line history. This opened 45.5. This is definitely not correct at 44.5. So this book. Colts and Jags. Oh, wow. Bookmaker 47. Okay, so this is, all right. So here's a good example, by the way. If you're trying to understand the way that you can be able to get some good closing line value on openers, or really just like any sort of these main line type of bets is Pinnacle. Pinnacle's great. Obviously, this is showing plus EV. You can use Outlier to be able to indicate that. Make sure that you still go and check things like when you see, for example, Bookmaker this early at 47 compared to a 45.5, so a full 1.5 difference. That's pretty large this early to be a full 1.5 off. Usually we're only seeing about a half, maybe a point. So to me, that's like already I would want to look into that pretty strong. 46.5 on Bet Online. So this is definitely a number that I think DraftKings will adjust to. Again, those are three pretty reputable sources. I don't have Circa up in front of me, but I'm going to guess it's also probably around that 46.5 range. Why is the Bears -4.5 here? Do the Panthers have like any major injuries today? I don't think I saw that. All right, let me look at what is that line. Okay, so it's slightly shaded, +4.5 there, 4.5 on Bookmaker. Where is Carolina? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So +3.5 there on Bet Online. I kind of love Carolina in the spot, especially not only getting +3.5, or was it plus? Hold on a second. Let me go back through this. I thought that was it showing +4.5 up here? Is it still +4.5? It is showing +4.5. Okay. Let me go real quick to here. +3.5. Okay, makes sense. Yeah. So 4.5 there on DraftKings. Yeah, definitely think that this is worth also a look. I don't understand why the Bears would be favored by. So the big thing, obviously, is once you're getting past that 3, you're expecting that the team that is giving those points, they're gonna at least need to cover by a touchdown, right? I know it's not an exact touchdown, but in order to basically get past that number, they're going to need to, if all things assume the game's tied, that team obviously needs to score a touchdown to be able to get past that number. So when I look at it, anytime it's going past the 3.5, I have to ask myself, should this team be able to cover, or at least would I trust this team in a neutral tied situation to be able to score a touchdown to cover this game? I have no idea why you would ever trust the Bears in this situation to do that. That Rams game today, I think, was more about the Rams making some mistakes. They had a very costly fumble in their own territory that the Bears were able to capitalize on. I still don't think the Bears offense looks that great. I mean, if you go and look at some of these different stats here, I think their defense is fine. But on offense, one thing that really is, I think, very concerning for me, if I were a Bears fan, is just that the lack of explosive plays has not really been there. I heard some stat that I think that Caleb Williams prior to today was like 1 for 19 on throws that were 20 yards or more down the field. Obviously, Carolina, I mean, they're literally 30-second scoring. I mean, they're one of, if not the worst defense in the league. So if there's going to be a get-right spot for the Bears, it would be that. But I'm just not willing to buy on this Bears team yet. And I think that 4.5, that is absolutely going to take some money. You're seeing already 3.5s that are already out there. Will it get to 3? Maybe, but if I'm looking to bet Carolina, that would be very appealing for me right now to go in and grab that one. All right, let's keep moving along here. Try to do these guys in like 35, 40 minutes. I don't try to do this for too long because there's a lot of. I mean, we want to get back to the Sunday night game too as well, right? But we've got a couple more that I think would be interesting to go. So. Another one here that I would say is probably worth looking into. I can't take credit for this. My friend, fellow streamer here for Outlier, Adam Rosenberg, has this rule. If you have a team in the NFL that is greater than +300 on the money line, that's usually incorrect because there's just parity in the NFL is too great to be factoring in that high of a price. So I would say +310. We got Rogue here. Oh, wonderful, man. Yeah, appreciate you, man. Glad you're here. Rogue always has. Oh, you're gonna be doing, Rogue. Actually, now that baseball season is coming to a close, he's been, I know, cooking up a lot of good baseball stuff in the other Discord I know that I'm in with him. But we got so plus 310 though, right? Like, okay, again, this is a case of are we buying, like, which teams are we buying low on and which teams are we selling high on? San Francisco kicked New England's ass today. I think that was pretty much expected. They also got healthier. They had Kittle, who did leave the game. They also had Fred Warner leave the game, which is definitely interesting. I don't know if that could actually be shown up here. Let me see. I sometimes wonder, do they actually? Okay, yeah, so they do. Great. So Outlier does have that. So key point to know there is when you're looking at these looking headlines, they do have the news from RotoWire. So let's see. Questionable return. I didn't hear that he returned. I have to go look. He certainly matters for the Niners, right? That would be somebody that would matter for the Niners in terms of some of that middle of the field of defense. Again, I know Arizona. It looks bad. I can't defend their offense too much in terms of they scored 13 against the Lions. All right, I think we can agree the Lions have a better defense so far this year. 14 against the Commanders is pretty bad. But I am still, maybe I have a little bit of recency bias, or maybe I have a little bit of prior bias, I guess, from week 1 and week 2 when they were looking great. Here's the one thing I would monitor for the Cardinals here is that Trey McBride, big deal. He matters a lot in that offense. He had a concussion this week, so he was out. That was definitely somebody that I think that Murray was missing a lot in that game today. I also think Washington just kind of like came in and really just sort of controlled the game from them as well. But plus 310, if I'm looking here on Pinnacle, we are seeing plus 279. Bookmaker, I'm not going to see that price. Let's see. I do not have a money line for here. So I'm going to add this. I'm not sure if that's going to be one of my best ones. I like to, at the end of these, kind of say, here's my 5 that I think are kind of the best ones to target. Either bet now, or this is where you're going to probably get the most CLV. But I'm definitely adding that one. That is definitely a buy low spot on the Cardinals. So let's look ahead here. We've got a couple more games that we want to quickly dive into. Seeing a couple of EV stamps here. Under 37, man. I would love to have gotten like a 38.5. That would have been great. I certainly think Denver is better in this case. Don't think that win today was also a fluke. Denver's defense played well. And yeah, their offense has a lot of problems. I don't think Bo Nix is good. Is it in San Francisco? Yes, it is. Yes. Vital. It is in San Francisco. Hence, I think the larger price there. I have to go back and look. By the way, San Francisco's home record though is not like. I wonder. Actually, why don't we just use Outlier? What was their home record in, last year? Just curious. 7 out of their last 10. What was it in 2023? They won 7 of 10, which let's take out the 2 playoff wins. They were 5 and 3 at home. So I mean they're better at home, but they're not. I would say it's not like, we're not looking at like I don't know, old Saints Superdome situation or anything with them. This Broncos game, though, let's go back here. So money line at minus 125. I'm seeing plus EV here. And I use Shin and additive as that is more conservative in terms of devigging, 1.46% there. If we look on the spread, 0.96. My thing too with the spread, when you're getting like minus 1.5. Ooh, yeah, okay. So price, okay. In this case, yeah, I would probably just take the spread. because you're getting 15 cents difference between that and the money line. And the number of times that a game will end on one, the percentage, if you kind of just go through and do the math, basically take that 15 cents over what the percentage of games that actually end in one with the team that you backed, and you are still getting a slight edge on that. At least if you're looking at data from, I know from, for example, from last year, I think there was only like maybe 12 games total that ended on one. So with all that being said, if we look here on Pinnacle, we've already got the Broncos shaded. I think this definitely moves closer to two. This could easily close at 2.5. Got to remember that the Raiders came off a kind of like a bullshit win today. To be frank, like they probably did not deserve that game. They got the benefit of a very generous holding call on the Browns that negated an 82-yard touchdown. So I'm seeing on Bookmaker that the Broncos are also -2 and -2 shaded, juiced -2 on Bet Online. So absolutely, for me, that would be a play right now. Would be Denver -1.5. All right. We go down here. Giants and Seahawks. Skip this one. We got to see what happens on Monday night. And again, by the way, look, I mean, there's obviously people that go and bet these for look-aheads. Like, by all means, if you like betting look-aheads, you probably honestly should have been betting them like earlier for week 5, like probably like Thursday, Friday last week. My thing with look-aheads is that I do factor in injuries into some of my handicapping and also power ratings. So I need to see the injuries and what happens on the field before I'm looking at starting to play some actual bets. But that's why openers are usually fine for me, at least personally. All right, so we've got a over 41.5. Interesting that that's EV, because I weirdly was looking at this and thinking an under. So just going with that theme of so Steeler game today. Anybody of you have been on any of the previous streams, I'm noted as a Steeler fan. Steelers, themselves today kind of just made some boneheaded plays, and that was also their defense did not show up for the first half. All that being said, the stuff that we saw from Fields pretty encouraging, but I wouldn't get too excited over that. They played again, Colts were up 17 in this game. Pittsburgh was playing come from behind. We don't typically see Pittsburgh do that. They did have a chance to tie or even win this game. Obviously, the snap, the bad snap by the center really kind of killed them there. But 41.5 is kind of high to me for the Steelers, because the way that the Steelers have, I still believe, shown that they want to play is that they want to play a slow, kind of methodical game. They don't want, Fields was great kind of in the second half, moving the ball down the field, but that's not necessarily the game that they really want to play. You also have a Dallas team. I know they're missing DeMarcus Lawrence. He will definitely not go for this game. Parsons almost certainly will not go for this game with a high ankle sprain. Dallas's defense did not look, to me, impressive or good. But I also think that the Steelers defense themselves, they had a bad showing today, but otherwise, I'm taking 3 of the 4 weeks that I saw, and I think Dallas, with CD, is fairly one-dimensional on that front. So, anyways, I know this is EV. Me personally, I would be looking more at an under here. I am seeing 42 on Pinnacle. I am seeing 42 on Bookmaker. So this is where I will just disagree with the market. However, if you want to, obviously get that FanDuel right now, that's not going to be a bet for me. Personally, if you like the under, maybe wait till Tuesday, Wednesday. If you get any sniff that Parsons is going to play, you're going to want to probably bet that sooner than later. If he is not practicing Wednesday or not practicing Thursday, you probably can wait. if you want to bet the under. If you want to bet the over, again, I think that Wednesday practice report will be telling to see Wednesday and Thursday to see if Parsons is going to actually play there. I do agree with the spread here. I do think Pittsburgh should be slightly favored. I would definitely not make them 3. And last game we have, so Monday night game, we've got New Orleans and Kansas City. As we all know, Kansas City lost another weapon where they did, they've just been losing guys left and right. They lost Rashee Rice likely for the season today. Obviously, they do not have Pacheco. They do not have Hollywood Brown, who just was never able to play a game for them. So offensively, they have definitely some problems. If we look kind of even if I go and look, for example, like their team totals, like KC has not been an over team at all. 17 points, 22 points, 26 points, 27 points, 25 in the Super Bowl, 17 to Baltimore. So I don't know if I'd be targeting an under here. I can see some New Orleans money coming in. This is, to me, kind of a dead number. We look at the money line. Don't really love that playing in KC. I also don't know necessarily if New Orleans is actually good. And what site are you using to check who's practicing or not? So Rogue, it's a combination of both. So Outlier, if you're looking for practice reports, Outlier's not going to have practice reports, but for some of the bigger guys, it will have updates from RotoWire that you can go and check that. In terms of practices, I'm usually honestly just going to like Fantasy Pros and checking there. So I believe there's like where's the NFL usually does, or Fantasy Pros, their app, by the way, usually does have this is on here. NFL. And maybe not on their site, but on their app, they always have in practice reports. They'll have updates on there. You can always go to RotoWire as well. So RotoWire has an app. Their site usually also has that information on practice reports. And then the teams themselves release practice reports. So, there's a multitude of them. I will use a combination of probably RotoWire, Fantasy Pros, and then if there's guys that I'm particularly interested in that are not covered on them, then I'll just kind of go on Twitter and search for them or go and see what the team's practice report would be, which again, they do release that. So on this one though, if I had, gun to my head, if I had to pick a side, I probably would. So interesting here. So September, the look ahead on this was 8 or 7.5. This was 6.5 towards the end of that Saints game today, and then is down to 5.5. I could easily see this getting to. I could see this getting to 4.5. I don't think that point necessarily really matters. I would wait on this one. And yep, awesome. Good stuff, bro. So yeah, don't don't have a bet or at least anything in the opener I would tell you guys to really look for here. I would say like if you're dying to get some CLV, New Orleans is going to be the side. This is not going to go towards Kansas City. I will tell you that. There will be money that comes in on New Orleans if you want to get some CLV. I don't really know what to do with this game personally, so it is not a bet for me. And then one game that I missed here that we did not get to touch on is the Packers and the Rams. Probably I have such Rams bias. I love the Rams. I have been a big McVay fan and Stafford fan for years. I just think that McVay is still a great coach, even though I know they're 1-3. They've just had so many injuries. Felt like that game today, they were more so in control of that game than meets the eye. I'd be happy personally to take a Rams plus 3.5 at home. Also, again, like it's 1-3. Rams have a lot more to play for here than Green Bay does. Love did look better in the second half today. He definitely got more comfortable, but still only the second week coming off of that injury. And the team itself, you could tell it took a little bit more to gel with that. The Rams, they're not getting a lot of help coming back, but I also think like the Packers defense didn't look great. So that doesn't matter to me as much. Over here is interesting at 46.5. So if I go and look at, bingo. So both of these market does agree with me. So plus 3.5, it's a little bit more towards that Rams. So we're probably looking, Pinnacle is saying this should be more around like 3.4, 3.3. And we've got a 47.5 there. Bookmaker disagrees on 46. And what does Bet Online say? Bet Online has this at 47 shading to the over. So I agree with both of those. I think 46.5 over is a nice bet. I think the total there is good. I also like the Rams plus 3.5. I don't know which one I like more. I think I like the over slightly more. These are fairly both over teams as well. So give me the over there on the Packers for 46.5. All right, so let's do a quick recap of those games that we just went through as we are hitting the 9:41 mark here on the East Coast. So again, for the Thursday night game, if we're looking for something right away, something early, I do think that 42.5 is interesting. Even with if Antoine Winfield, that would be the one person I would still check. But these are both like decent offenses. These are both teams that can move the ball. Defenses are average at best. So 42.5 there is interesting. That would be good. Staying away from this London game, although I could see Minnesota taking some more money here. Didn't have any major injuries. Miami, New England. Oh, what's this? Yeah, Miami, New England's definitely the this is like the poop vector game, as Bill Simmons likes to annotate. So yeah, this one, no real opinion here. Baltimore, Cincinnati, waiting to see what happens on Sunday night. I think the Browns plus 3.5, great bet. Love that bet right now. I would love to get this is the ultimate buy low, sell high situation for them. Colts, Jags, no real opinion here, although the market does seem to be favoring an over there. And again, I just monitor the status of A-Rich in that one. Panthers and Bears, love the Panthers plus 4.5. Again, Panthers are not good, but neither are the Bears. And I just don't see the Bears. There's no reason to me that they should still be giving more than 3 points to anybody. Cardinals plus 310 if you want to feel a little bit frisky right now. The Cardinals are better than plus 310. They should still be dogs, but that's definitely going to that will move. I can tell you that will definitely move. Denver minus 1.5, also like that. I think it's interesting. I thought I did not have a lot of spread bets. I thought I was more on totals in this go around, but I have, I believe, 3 spreads, a money line, and 2 totals. Yeah, so Denver minus 1.5 though is definitely going to be a good bet if you want to get some good CLV. Again, I just don't see that line moving towards Vegas this week. And then the 46.5, love that bet. I know that is not super EV right now, but I think that this is a good over situation here. Last point I would just make in terms of just, we're through 4 weeks. One thing to keep in mind is that first 3 to 4 weeks, teams are still, this is still largely like preseason for most of the starters. Every year we see more and more people complain about how poor the quality of the football is through the first couple of weeks. I think we started to see today, aside from the Denver New York Jets game, starting to see some more points, starting to see a little bit more fluidity in some of the offenses. So again, I wouldn't build your cap around that, but it's worth noting and remembering heading into the next couple of weeks. Is like some of these teams, there's going to be a lot more injuries, especially if there's on the defensive side. Offenses should start gelling a little bit more at this point. So, it's the first 4 weeks of the largely, if you would see kind of like unders, that does tend to change a little bit going into week 5 and beyond. So there's our slate right there. Bucks, Falcons, 42.5. I'd say, again, out of my 5 that I would give out here on the show, it would be that over. Cleveland plus 3.5, Panthers plus 4.5. If you want the money line, sure. That's not the purposes of it. I mean, I'll say sure, take the money line just to get that CLV. I don't know if that's a bet I'll be personally on, but you'll definitely get CLV there. The other 2 I really like, though, is that Denver minus 1.5, and I love the over 46.5 for the Packers. So that about does it. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Get back to that Sunday night game if it is not already on your screens. Should be a good one there with Baltimore and Buffalo. We'll be back here next week at 9 o'clock, same time, same place, to do the look headlines for Week 6. You can find me in the Outlier Discord. I am Slippin Jimmy. I am also on Twitter at Dads That Bet. I'm also part of the Beat the Line Discord. If you are not in that, please feel free to ping me if you ever wanted access there. And we'll be back tomorrow. I know Adam's got some good stuff, I believe, at 12:30 Eastern tomorrow. And I think we are planning on doing Adam and I are planning on doing some sort of Major League Baseball futures show again for the playoffs. Very excited for the next couple of weeks. We are heading into the best time of the year. Best month of the year. If you're a sports fan, we're going to get the sports equinox here very, very soon. So with that, thanks again, guys. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week.